Hello everyone, this is Debbie from Ink and Page, and I am here today with what I hope is a super fun new project. This is a new item in my Etsy shop, and what this is 8 ephemera projects for you guys to do, and all in one go. This coordinates with the ledger kit, and I'm hoping it will be really fun. The idea I had when I was making this is that how do we pre-make ephemera? This is a question I've been trying to answer all year, I think. How do we pre-make ephemera for when we don't know what we're making next, right? So this is another one of my attempts to create an answer to that question. Okay, so this is a bunch of ephemera projects that you can do one at a time whenever you have a minute. They're all quick and easy, and all the stuff is in the kit that you need, and then you can customize this based on your project with ephemera from that project. Okay, so I'm going to go through the projects really quickly here, then I'll go through the printables, and then we will do the projects. Okay, so the first thing we have is our, these are our ephemera stacks. Okay, so this is like a little lace situation with a with a little lace backing, and then just a photo and some ephemera, and this is just all tied together in a bundle so it can all come out if you want it to. I did staple this one on here, but this, we're gonna make 4 different little ephemera stacks out of this one little kit here. And this is our Postal bundle here, which has got real envelopes in it. We're going to make some scrappy notebooks here. And this one, I actually used the Wraithwood kit, the freebie kit, to change the color scheme of this notebook to fit that. And for this one here, I pulled a piece of ephemera from the Archivist kit. Just to, just to see how do we bring in ephemera from other kits to customize this ephemera. So that's where I got these papers from, because they're not in this kit, but I'll tell you that as we go. Okay, so these are the 2 little swatch books that we made here. And this is paper, but you could certainly add fabric, but there's paper swatches in the kit. There's this pocket card here. Again, this would be really super great to slip into a journal. You could put this behind a belly band, and then you could take this ephemera out and fill it with the ephemera from the kit that you're working on. I tried to do all neutral bases for this one. This is a pocket folder, so I collaged the front of this with ephemera from the kit, but you could collage it with ephemera from whatever journal you're working on as well. And then there's pockets inside, and I just filled those guys up with ephemera. And then we have a little zigzag folio. There's a couple options with this, which I'll go over with you when we do them, because this can be like a mini one, or it can be a maxi one. This is the maxi one. I don't have the mini one because I glued them together. And then we're going to make this little photo album right here as well. So stay tuned, and we'll be hopping right into this. Okay, before we jump into actually crafting, I just thought I'd take a minute here and go through the printables with you guys, because I am aware that the printables look different on the paper than they sometimes do once they're, crafted into an actual object. So I just want you to get a little familiarity with what you're jumping into, and then we'll just hop into it, and we'll just make ourselves a whole bunch of projects. So now, the way these are organized is if you download the zip file, you will get, when you unzip it, you'll have folders that will be labeled with each project's name, okay? For the folks that prefer the PDF, if you prefer one huge PDF, what I'm going to do is I'll just put them sequentially through the PDF. So all the pages will be together for each project, and I'll also create an independent singular PDF for each project, okay? And then there'll also be a PDF for papers. So you'll have 2 options on how you want to download it. Just everything all together in one big PDF, or you can have a bunch of separate little ones, okay? Everything will be in the folder for you. Okay, now This is the first project, which is just like, it's an ephemera stack that is got this lace kind of folder, like a lace card on the bottom, and then just a bunch of ephemera to stack on the top, which, you know, we'll go over that in a few minutes, how to do that. Now, this is the Postal bundle, so there's a number of envelopes in this bundle. So this one has a few things for you to kind of fold up and put together. But what I wanted was you to be able to have an envelope situation, like a stack of envelopes you could tie with a ribbon, and it would feel like a real bundle of envelopes. You know what I mean? I think there's at least one faux envelope in this kit. Yeah, right here. And then, but I wanted it to feel real, you know what I mean? So this would be something that you could put into a journal as an added piece of ephemera that would be like a little postal bundle. And you could put little messages or notes or little inspirational quotes or whatever inside the envelopes, whatever you want to put inside the envelopes. You know, it could be a million different things. Okay, now these are the papers for the Scrappy notebooks. Now, I love a Scrappy notebook, so I wanted to include it in this kit because I think it's a great addition to almost any project. So, for this one here, I just created a bunch of different papers that you can use to make Scrappy notebooks. What I would encourage you to do is if you are just making a Scrappy notebook, you're all set. Just grab whichever papers you like out of this, you know, selection of papers that I have here. So there's a bunch of different colors, and you just go ahead and make your notebook. If you are incorporating this into another project, just incorporate the papers or scraps from that project into this little notebook. So you could have this pre-made up. You could use the neutral colors, which I would say would be the kind of the goldenrod, this green, and this here. And you could have those made up ahead of time. And then all you need to do is attach a couple pieces of ephemera to that little, you know, Scrappy notebook, and boom, now you have a done project, okay? And you could use any of the papers in this kit to make Scrappy notebooks, obviously, but I did want to give you some special papers just for this particular project. So we'll do those when we get to that point. And then after that, we have swatch books, and you have a couple of options in the swatch book department. These are the covers that I made with like the lace tops, and I made them kind of neutral. So again, you could use these covers and put any papers that you have in your scrap drawer, any papers that you have laying around, any papers that match the journal you want to put this into. You can go ahead and put them with this. I also included a bunch of Scrappy like papers here, so you can cut these up as well. If you don't have any scraps on hand, you can use these instead. And so that's what we're going to use today. Now these can either be used in the notebook. So if you want to make yourself a nice neutral notebook, you can use these papers and this here. Or you can use these for just simple plain covers. And if you want to like punch out the top with a particular design that relates to your project, or you want to decorate the top of it with ephemera that matches what you're doing, you can do that too. So I'll go over that when we make these little swatch books. Okay, now this is the pocket folder. So, I'm sorry, this is pocket folder. This is a pocket card. There's a pocket folder and a pocket card. So this is kind of like a standalone little pocket thing that you can just stick into anything, okay? And I did use like, I used basically browns on this one. And I created a little bit of ephemera to go with it that was, you know, mostly neutral, but, you know, you got to have a few pieces in there that are, you know, a little bit more statement. So this stuff is for this project here. And you can mix and match the ephemera throughout the whole kit. Do not feel like you have to be like, you know, follow a specific, you know, a formula here. You know, I love to give options, but I also like to give guidelines. So you're able to print these projects one at a time. It's a smaller project. You can just do it when you have a little bit of free time. So that's kind of like the idea behind this. And then you can just save any leftover ephemera you have from previous ones if you want, and just incorporate it into other ones. Or you can just print out the bases and don't and have the bases all put together and ready to go in case you want to use them in a different journal. Okay, so this is the pocket folder. So what this will have is a collage on the front, and then it will have the 4 pockets on the inside, okay? And then we have the ephemera here to collage on it, and that should be that. Is there one more page for this? There might be one more page for this. Okay, this is the Zigzag little folder, and so I made this going both directions because I thought it would be handy. If you wanted to make it into a full-blown folio, you could just attach these two together and you could have these on both sides, you know, so they would pop out on both sides. You know, so when you like pull it out, it would be like this. It'll be like a rectangle in the middle. Oh, can you even see my hands? It'll be like a rectangle in the middle and then slanted down the sides. So that's what the deal is with this. And then there's just a bunch of ephemera to go with this. You know, again, pretty neutral, nature-oriented here. Just things that you guys can, you know, if you want to make this, because you could even make this as a card, you know, and give it to somebody if you wanted to. So there's all different ephemera to put in there. Okay, and then we have this little album here, which is adorable. When you see it, it's super cute. So basically, this one just has a bunch of different pages, and you can use all the pages, you can use none of the pages. You know, I created a bunch of different kinds of pages because I thought it would just be fun to have a variety. But at the same time, I also I know that you might want to make your own pages. So there is a template page in there that it'll look like the template page is like two of these right here. And I may not have printed one out for this bundle here, but it'll just give you this, and then you can just print your the paper that you desire to use in your little album on the back of this, and then just cut it out. And I was going to assemble this in kind of like a hinge binding sort of way. So if you wanted to leave the back of your ephemera white, you could. You wouldn't need to do both sides. But if you wanted to, you could also use like a 3-hole pamphlet stitch on this as well. Okay, and then these are the pockets for the album. I thought it'd be nice to have pockets on the inside cover, and then I just created a couple extra, you know, because you never know when you're going to need a pocket. So there is that. Let's see what's next here. Oh, no, I did include it in here. Okay, I thought I didn't have it in here. Okay, so this is what the template page looks like, and then you can just print your own paper on the back of it and cut it out. Okay, and now there's just 2 random extra pieces of just random ephemera that I created just in case. You know, I had to like put the brakes on here because I would have created 10 of extra ephemera pages, but I didn't want to be overwhelming about this kit. I was trying to be mindful about it and try to be thoughtful about, okay, what would you actually need? Obviously this coordinate really well with the ledger journal kit, which already has a number of pages in it. So, you know, and I know that one of the ideas behind doing this whole situation here too is to incorporate other kits in with this as well. So you're pulling from your scraps, or you're pulling from kits you're working on to help customize a journal. So there's 2, like just a page of small tags, a page of artist trading cards of just different types of things here, and a page of washi strips as well that are all real text-based situations here. Okay, and then there's a bunch of very neutral backgrounds, which I know you guys are probably not really used to with me. This one's upside down. So this is just like kind of like a taupe one. This one has more of like, you know, like a gold color to it, like a very dark, heavy gold. This is like a brownish canvas one. Then this is a half ledger, half text one. And then we have a good old-fashioned tea stained here. And then I have like this kind of tiny vintage pattern. And that one is also upside down. So some of these I seriously got them mixed up here. Okay, and then this one here is just a melange of many different patterns. Just great for backgrounds, great for journal pages, stuff like that. So, okay, so that is what the kit looks like. Hopefully that didn't take too long. And now we can just hop into the fun part. Okay, So I have these projects, they're in, I have them numbered. Like I have them organized in Photoshop this way too. So I have everything organized in like a sequential order so that, you know, it'll help keep things together, you know, in either the PDF or the zip files or whatever you're doing so that you know what goes with what. So the first thing that we have here is all the stuff for the ephemera stack here that we're going to do with the, because I'm like, where is it? Where is it? I'm looking for the lace folder. Okay, so now obviously there's a lot of stuff here. There's more than enough for 2 little ephemera stacks at minimum, right? So basically these are meant to go together, and you can put them together however you like, or what, you know, with whatever items that you like. I just thought that it would be fun to have a photo included, but I also think that like this is kind of a stand-in for any photo you might want to include. Like, what do you want to include? A photo of your family? Do you want to include a photo of you and the recipient of the journal? Because I know that many of us create to gift. So this is a lot of different options here for you to put into your stack here. And, you know, we're just going to kind of go through here and just arrange these however we want. I definitely wanted to have a flower in here. And then, you know, I also included, you know, there's like a postcard, there's a little picture. So we could, you know, you could do a lot of different little arrangements here with all these different ones. And what I would do here with this, like I think I'm going to go ahead and tie this one with a ribbon so that it stays in like kind of a loose ephemera stack, and it's not actually glued together. And then other ones you may want to glue together, you know, so it just kind of depends on what you're making, what you want to use it for, you know. If you want things to be able to be pulled out, if you want to only, like, we could just glue this on the bottom here and use this as the tuck spot, and then everything else tucks into it. So you have a bunch of different creative options here. So I would just go with your gut and, you know, do whatever feels right for, you know, the cluster that you're making and the project that you're making it for. Because, you know, everybody's needs are going to be different, you know. And then, like, you know, you could have this, you've got this, you got this, and you got a little Marseille sign here. You know what this would be really cute if we did is a brad. So let's put a brad on this one, just so we have like a bunch of different options and ways that, you know, we're gonna do this. You know, and then we may have some extra here just depending on what we want to do here. So what I might do with this one here is, okay, so I might staple this one here and then use this as a tuck spot, you know, to have this tuck into here. And then if you wanted to customize it a little bit with your own ephemera, you could stick something else in there that is your own ephemera or from something else. So I'm just trying to give as many options as I can think of. I'm sure that you guys will be able to think of more. So definitely, if you have other ideas or thoughts, definitely put them in the comments below. You could post them on Facebook as well if you wanted to. So let me grab I'm just going to grab my hole puncher and we will get started on assembling all this. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is, these are my 2 extra pieces that I haven't decided on yet, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so I think I'm going to tie this one together, and I'm wondering, just for the sake of using it, maybe we'll use that one on there. If you wanted to, you could also use a paper clip for this. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just staple this on to this piece of ephemera here. then I'm just going to include all of this together. I think I might grab a paper clip here to hold this together, and then I'm going to tie it together with this piece of ribbon that I have here. And then I will have this will be ready to go to use in whatever I want. My plan is to use this in my ledger journal. I have heard the call. I know that you guys want to have a tutorial for that one, so I'm working on that right now. And I actually, this is how my brain works. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna do a tutorial for the ledger journal, so I'm printing all this stuff out, and then I'm like, oh, wouldn't it be so cool if we had some like pre-done projects that we could just slip into that journal? So the next thing I know, I'm in Photoshop and I'm making this. So that's where these came from. So I am working on the tutorial for the ledger journal though, because I'm pretty excited to make one for myself. So that will be forthcoming, and I will keep you updated on that. I'm hoping for next week because given my schedule for the next couple weeks, it's going to be pretty busy, so I have to get that out ASAP. Okay, all right, so I've got my little situation here. I'm going to leave my paper clip to help everything stay together while I'm storing it until I'm putting it in my journal. For this one, I need to, I'm going to go ahead and punch a hole in that, so I went and got my crocodile so I could punch a hole in that. So basically, what I want to do is have all of this stuff kind of lined up. And then, okay, I was like, what did I do with my brads? But they're right there. Okay, so I got everything kind of lined up the way that I want it to be. I'm going to have it come in just slightly here. Okay, and then let's do, I'm going to do this one. And then I'm just going to grab a brad out of this little container here. I picked kind of a bigger brad for this because I wanted it to be noticeable on the, you know, sometimes I want the brads to kind of fade into the background, but on this one, I kind of want it to be pretty obvious that there's a brad on there, so that, you know, it's obvious that these things can be, you know, moved about, and then you can, you know, have them go different ways if you want them to. If you want this to be out a little bit more, or whatever, you know, however you want to do that. I just like the idea of having this, the option to move things around, and, you know, then you can look at them however you would like. Okay, so there is that guy. I'm going to put a little bit of, let's see what I got here. Oh, I have only purple washi tape, thanks to the dark diary situation. So I'm going to have to, I'll get some neutral colored washi tape and just put that over the little prongs here so this can't move around and poke somebody. Okay, so for this one, let us, I don't want to glue that one. I think what I'll do is attach this to the receipt. Like, I'll have this be the back, and then have her be the tuck, and then have this be kind of the front here. I think I'm gonna fold this around the back here too. You know what? I could also put washi tape on that. I'm not sure why I only have crazy washi tape on my desk right now. Just look at this. I was just looking in my Tim Holtz drawer there. Because what I'm thinking is I'm going to put this along the back here. And then if you want to make this look like you did that on purpose, well, first of all, don't put it on upside down, because I just put it on upside down. Okay, so I'm gonna flip this around so that it covers that up. Okay, now I have this here. So I can tuck that right into there. And the other thing that I'm going to do on here is put more washi tape on this back here, so it does look like it's supposed to be there instead of it's just there for, you know, because I wanted to cover up that flap. Okay, so I'm going to add a little different washi tape here. And then you could put some up here. This is what washi tape is just made for, right? And that's just with grabbing what's on my desk. So, you know, definitely you could have, could we get that in there too? And then we would be using all of our ephemera. And then we just have our little flap here that kind of holds all of our stuff in there. And I know that, like, you know, sometimes we like to, you know, then I'll make a nice little, like, bunch of stuff to stick inside of a pocket, you know? Okay, now this guy here, let's see, what should we do for this one? Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and do the staple on this one. And, like, I don't know if this is a record for me, but I don't think I used up all the ephemera for this whole little thing. But so this made, you know, 4 different little ephemera stacks for you. And now you've got, like, 4 things ready to go. Now, of course, you know, you could change this out, you know, if you wanted to put something else on there, or you could have stapled a different piece of ephemera on the front of this so that, you know, it would change the vibe of it completely. Okay, so I'm going to put these guys aside. And let's go on to number 2, which is our Postal bundle. Okay, so now for this one, let's take a look at the envelopes first, since we're going to put those together first and get them assembled so that we have, like, what I hope would be the base of our project here. I'm going to move that out of the way. Okay, so this is our faux envelope here, and this is, okay, so this is the real one here. So what I'm going to do here is just put my glue right in the middle there on the flap. Let's hope it comes out here. It doesn't always want to come out the first thing. Okay, and then just put that up. I'll put that one aside to dry. Now this is the same style envelope as that one, so we're just going to go ahead and do the same thing here. Just kind of in the middle there. And that's all you really need to hold the whole thing together. Oh my gosh, I did it backwards. This is, oh my goodness. All right, so let's take that off of there. It happens to everyone, huh? I'm always thinking 2 steps ahead, and I need to learn to be, like, in the moment. You know what I mean? Okay, so there we go. There's that. There. And then this one is a little bit different style. So we've got these flaps here. So where I'm going to put the glue on these is just down on here. And here. These are also, you know, if you're a little bit more new to junk journaling, these are really good, you know, kind of starter projects. that get you started building your stash and, you know, having things to put in your journals once you start making them. Okay, so now I have my, okay, so I've got my envelopes here. So this here, I envision this one here as potential stationery to put into your letter or your envelope as your letter. But you could certainly use it in any way that you wanted. Let's see, put it in here. Or actually, I haven't decided. I think I might use this in my bundle. Okay, so let's put this in here. And then you could put any other of the ephemera that you wanted in there as well. And then what I thought we could do is just stack these guys up and put this guy on the bottom. And, oh, we have this one here too, so you can kind of put it wherever you want. That's my fake one. You know, I figured I'd throw that in just for the sake of ease, because, you know, sometimes, you know, you might not want to be making like a whole bunch of envelopes. You might just want to have a fake envelope, you know. And then we have like a little stamp here, so we can make this one more 3D, or if you want to change the color of it, you have the option to do that. By using something else from a different kit. And then also I included a bunch of other random ephemera, like this is a postcard with the train on the front of it. I thought it would be nice to have a little flower in your little postal bundle. And let's see what else we want to include in here. And then maybe perhaps a ticket, you know, because like maybe you know, you took the train and you have your train ticket, you know, that sort of thing. And if there's anything else, oh yeah, this little guy here, let's do that. Okay, so now we have our little, like our little bundle here. So let's go ahead and tie that guy up with a little bit of twine and make it look like a real postal bundle. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is just do this. Just want to make sure I got everything tight enough. Sometimes twine can be a little bit of a pain to get tight enough. Okay, I got this. We'll just tie this right on here, like so. This would be so cute too if I should have thought ahead, and if I'd gotten like a piece of lace or something, you know, to stick in there too. That would have been like, that would be really cute. So, you know, there'd be a lot of different options in terms of what you could add to this to fill it out a little bit, to make it feel a little bit more realistic. You know me, I like to craft things that seem like the thing that they are, right? So now I have a little postal bundle that is super adorable. And if you put this in a journal or whatever, it could be such an Easter egg in terms of, you know, what you put inside of the envelopes and stuff like that. I used to do that. I don't know if I've mentioned this before. I used to love to do that for myself. When I was younger, like I was a kid and I had a journal, I would always like hide things in the journal or put things in envelopes or stuff like that for myself to find later, that I just thought it would be fun. So, you know, I missed my calling as Nancy Drew, I think. So I loved having little mysteries that I would make up for myself. Okay, so I'm going to put these guys aside. These are my extra pieces, and I can just incorporate these however I want. You could definitely be another cluster, this cute little book cover, and the postcard, and I've got this little fox. I mean, there's a lot of things here to use and mix up and use in different ways. So I'm going to put these guys aside, and we'll move on to the next one here, which is our Scrappy notebooks, which, as I have previously mentioned, is a personal favorite of mine. These are just great to have around. They're fun to do, and you can make them out of whatever you have like literally whatever you have laying around. I maybe broke the Scrappy notebook rule by literally making papers specifically for Scrappy notebooks, but you know, you have to start somewhere, right? So this is, you know, this is where we're starting. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to look at these papers, and my favorite one of these guys is probably going to be this one here. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to like randomly rip these down, and then I'm also going to just look in my scrap drawer here and see if I can incorporate a few things from my scrap drawer, just to kind of demonstrate like how you can embellish these up with stuff that you already have just laying around. And these don't need to be, I'm going to try to split the difference here on this last one. They don't need to be a special size. You can make them in multiple different ways. I'll show you that in just a second. I'm just going to look at my scrap drawer here and see what else is in here. Oh, I know I have some good stuff in here. Okay, so let's see what's in this pile right here. And then I can just go ahead and do the same thing here and rip these guys up. This is a piece of glassine from something. It's not even used. I know what probably happened. Like, I'll pull things out a lot of times for videos and stuff and then not use it, and then it will end up in the scrap drawer because of that. Do this. And then on this one here, I'm going to rip off the margin because I'm not a margin fan. Here, let's see what else we got. Ooh, this is good stuff. Okay, so this is tea-dyed lined paper. I think I probably used this the other night. Okay, that is ledger paper. And then, oh, I grabbed... Oh, here it is. Okay, so as kind of a semi-challenge to myself, I don't know if this is a challenge or not, this is my envelope of stuff that I had left over from the archivist, okay? And lest you think my envelope is scary, I just have to print things out so many times, and sometimes it feels sad to throw those things away, so I just hang on to them. So what I'm going to do here is just pull a couple things out of this envelope. Now I'm going to luck out here because a lot of these things are going to go with the color palette that I have. But here I'll look for, I have this here, that's a different color. So I'm just going to include those into my little Scrappy notebook just as a, you know, just to have things that I have left over from another kit. I'm going to put these to a side. That I can incorporate into this kit here. So I'm going to pick out a bunch of stuff. Now, I like to make mine, if at all possible, so that they like cascade, you know. Oops, I just dropped that. So they cascade down in like little layers. I think a lot of people like to do it like this, so I don't think this is a me thing, but it's just as fun to have all the different layers poking out at the bottom. So, like, I'll usually cut these guys up so that they are kind of in a cascading fashion. So I've got this guy here. This one needs to go behind this. It's going to go here. This is going to go here. You could certainly put, you know, fabric in here too if you wanted to. I don't think I have any here at the moment, but you could certainly put fabric on here. And then you could use whatever you like to come over the top here. Now, you don't have to come over the top. You could just poke your holes and just tie this together at the top. Or you can poke holes and, like, you know, bring like a little bit of a margin over on the top. Or you could grab something like this fox here and use that as well. So let's do this Scrappy notebook with the fox here. And then, or sometimes, you know what else looks really cute for this is when you have like a label that has a word on it. So that's cute too. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this one with brads. And then I'll do another one with using some ribbon or string. Oh, you know what? I'll use waxed thread. Okay, so let's see. Where did I put my thing? Okay, so what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to punch 2 holes here. I'm going to try to punch these like... Okay, so there's that one. I'm not going to measure anything because this is supposed to be scrappy. So I'm going to hope for the best there. Okay. All right, now I have that, and I'm just going to... Oh, I'm going to grab my brads that I had before, and I'm just going to use that. Now, the advantage to using brads in this particular situation is basically just that it's real easy to change the papers out if you want. Like, if you want to get one of these out of here, if you change your mind, or you want to use it for something, or you want to gift this to somebody, and you want them to be able to use the papers in their journal, using a brad like this, and you could just put one brad in like on the corner too. You don't have to do it in the middle. The lovely thing about junk journaling in general is literally no rules. And I know that like sometimes people, that is scary. Sometimes like not having rules is scary too, right? You can make things however you want, and you don't have to use what you see other people use. You know, so it can go... Wait, did I forget to put the glassine in here? I sure did. Well, I'm not going to put it in this one, even though I could take it apart and do it. I'm just going to move on and do it in the next one. I'm just going to make this a little bit shorter. And then what I'll use for... I love these kind of things so much. So I'll use this little top piece in one of my little scrappy notebooks. Okay, so let's use this. And we're going to use this here. I'm going to go, let's make this one, like about there. And then, let's see here. I have this piece here. I have this piece here. I have one of these from here. Alright, so what should we add to this? We should add something else to it. Okay, so I just grabbed some more scraps. These are scraps that were left over from last month's Wraithwood freebie. So I'm going to go ahead and incorporate these in there. Just as like a, you know, this... I guess this is how I would do it if I wanted to incorporate this into, say, that project, right? That project was kind of darkish, so I probably want to be incorporating more like these black colors and stuff like that. I also have this piece here, which I did get a little bit wet, but you know. And you know, that's like... a good definition of a scrap, I think. See how, like, probably had to be like that long. I'm just randomly guessing. And you can just make these however you want, you know, like I'm trying to work around to where I got the water on this page. And let's see how this is gonna fit in here. It'd be cool if this one was... I did make that too short to do that. Okay, let's see. And these do not have to be evenly spaced. They do not have to be even like any specific length. You could have short ones behind long ones. I just like it like this. So I want to have, I'm going to do that actually, because I want to have this one. Let's see, I need another one. Will this go under here? Oh, wait, this has got to go this way. Like, this one's really much thicker than the other one. I do not want this to be my top, though. Wait, what did I do? Let's see. You could put the paper going a different way. These are often the things that, like, help you to differentiate layers from each other, is by changing the orientation. If a postcard usually goes like this, use it like this, stuff like that. That's what's gonna kind of draw like extra interest to what you're doing, make things a little bit more interesting and less conventional. Okay, so I got that there, and now I have this purple worked into here as well. And then if I had, like, actually, you know what? I do have this piece here, which is kind of a weird piece, but let's try. Okay, I'm going to try to clean up the edges on this just a little bit here. Let's do it this way. Because what I would like to do, I think, is use this part here as the piece that comes over my top. I think I'm going to take this one out, though. And then I have this one that comes over my top. And what I really like about this is that this piece is in the back. Okay, let's take a quick look at what else I've got here. Because I think what I'll do, I love to get into the weeds, don't I? I'm supposed to be doing like a quick demo on how to put all these together, and now I'm like, ooh. Okay, so let me just move this stuff aside for just a second, and I'm going to take this piece right here. And I'm going to glue it on the back of this one right here so that I don't have like a white back, okay? And then it doesn't, like, because this is a scrappy notebook, you don't have to worry about the back of it being like a certain size, right? Like, I particularly like how this is ripped right here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to salvage that, but we're going to see what I can do. Okay, so now I'm going to put this onto here because I just want to have something on my back of my notebook. I don't want it to be like completely white. And let's see, what do I have here? You know what I do have is washi tape. All right, I'm just going to grab my bone folder here. I'm just going to go over this because I feel like I got a bubble in it. Okay, and I'm just going to go along it with my scissors and just trim that right off. You could also tear this down here so that the edge looks really torn. I think it looks pretty torn anyway. But, you know, if you wanted it to look a little bit more torn. Okay, so I got that cut. I'm going to take my little here and just darken this up just ever so slightly over here. Just so it's not so stark white against the like, you know, color of this, because it's a little bit too much. Okay. All right. So now we got all this stuff. Now all of that to say, let's do this. All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to fold this over. Okay. And then just do this. Okay. Now you could staple this. Staple. You could do a number of different things to this. We could punch the top of this. We could rough it up. We could put, I use like the decal trimmer. You know, there's like a bunch of different options here. I'm going to go ahead and go with the, I'm going to use wax thread on this one. Let's see here. I'm just using this as a hole punch. Just, it's not like necessary to have one of these to do this, like, because I'm not going to set any eyelets or anything like that, because if you set, I think it would be difficult to set an eyelet in here anyway. Okay, so let's grab us some thread here. I just have my wax thread in my drawer, and I can just tie this up, and you can put the bow in the front or the back. I mean, you don't have to put a bow either. You could just put a knot on the back and put a dab of glue on it, and then you can cut your strings, and you know, you have a pretty seamless little tied situation. You could also, which is what I'm going to do here, is thread these through more than once, so you have like a little more of like a bundle looking situation, right? Of course, I can't get that to go through there. Okay, this is way easier with a needle, so we're just gonna use a needle. Sometimes I'll spend time trying to avoid like getting a tool, and it's like, that's not time well spent, you know? It's like, it's just better to go get the tool. But like, oh, I'll do that. So I'm going to come up, back up the front here, because I want to tie mine on the front here. And I'm going to bring this one back up. There we go. And I'm just going to tie this into a little bow up here, which should stay decently because this is the wax thread. Or you could just make it into a little bit of a knot. For whatever reason, tying a bow on a video is like the more difficult things to do. I don't know what it is about it. I always feel like I'm taking too long. All right, there we go. Okay, so there's that. All right, so now we have our two Scrappy notebooks. One we used twine and holes, and this one we used brads for. So now we have two Scrappy notebooks. So we're going to have quite a nice pile of ephemera here when we're done tonight. All right, I'm going to move this stuff aside, and we will move on to the next one. Okay, number 4 is the swatch books, okay? So here's what we got here is we need to pick one of these, which I think I'm going to pick this one. And then we just need to pick ourselves some swatches. Okay, so I need to decide what I want. And what I'm going to do here is I want to rip these. Like I want, or you could actually pink them if you have pinking shears. You could use pinking shears so they actually look like fabric swatches. You could use fabric here instead of paper. Where did I put my pinking shears? Oh, yeah. So there's a bunch of different ways that you could do this. Like I said, you know, any which way would work. I know I had a thing of fabric scraps on my desk. It's a miracle I know where the picking shears are though, because what I'll do is I'll get stuff out for a video and then lose it, which is very classic me. Okay, so now you can use as many or as few swatches as you want, and you could also put, if you wanted to, you could get some of the lined paper that we just used in for these here, the one that I used to line this back here. You could grab a piece of this if you want to turn this into almost like a mini notebook type situation. You know, this is a similar project, but this is more organized, less random, and you can use fabric as well if you want. All right, so you just have to kind of, also if you want to make it thicker, you could give yourself a spine up here by just scoring whatever width that you want. So if you just want one, like 1/4 of an inch or whatever, you could do that. So I'm just going to fold this guy over right here. So this is going to have a defined back, and then you put your stuff under here and see how you want it to hang out under here and what you want to have under here. Do I want to have that? Ooh, this one. Maybe this one. I might want this one. Because I'll use that one. I think that one would be better for one with like a shorter top. This one has a too long of a top for that. Okay, so let's cut this one. And then across the bottom, I'll pink it. And that can go in there. And like this one here, it matches basically, like the widths match. It's nice and even. And then we can pick another swatch to go in here too. Let's see which one we want. Oh, this is the back of those. What's this one? I think I'll pick that one. Oh yeah, I think that's cute. So this would be good if you, like, let's say you had like some papers that you used in the journal, you know, and you wanted to create like a little swatch of all the things that you included in a journal. This would be a super cute way to do it. And then you could alternatively use like one of these solid backgrounds if you don't want to have like a specific, like this is pretty much a neutral color here, and then you could just fold the top of this one over, and if you wanted to, you could punch it, or you could like include a piece of ephemera from, say, the kit that you're using, you know, or you could use something like this on top of it. Like that could be super, super cute. And this, you could do like, say you wanted to use this one here, you know, you could pick your swatches out. And I know I got distracted, I'm sorry. You could pick your swatches out, put them in here, and then staple everything and then glue this over the top of it so you can't see the staple if you wanted. Or you could put a paper clip on the back of this. So there's like a bunch of different options here. For this one, I only have this blue one, which is extremely blue. But, I mean, it just makes it look like a cute little fabric swatch on there, even though you don't like technically have any fabric. But you could have fabric. Oh, here's this one. This is much better. Okay. So what I'm going to do is probably pink this one right here. Let's make that just a tad bit shorter. And then you have this like super cute little swatch book right here to stick in here. And this one's like a fake out since it's like actually just 3 different little pieces of paper collaged on here. But you could do it how, you know, in any manner that you would like as well. You could also just go ahead and use double-sided tape in here to put these up in there if you wanted. I just want to make sure that you have as many potential options here as you could potentially want, you know, in order to, oops, I just ripped that off. I haven't used double-sided tape in so long, you guys. I used to use it all the time because I used to do so many individual projects, but I have not used it in forever. Okay, so then what I could do here is just slide this up into here. This is a permanent situation, you know. This isn't a situation where it's like a notebook that you kind of take stuff out of. You know, this would be like this forever, because we all know double stick tape is forever. All right, so I'll get that. And then this comes down here. And then I can just do that again on here to put this on the cover. And then boom, you have like a super quick, easy piece of ephemera. And you could literally do this with any paper that you have. It does not have to be like made for this. You know, this is just like, not only like this is like a good like kind of reference for types of ephemera that you could have, you know, in your journals, like that's like not just a tag, not just a pocket, you know. And then, okay, so here's this one. Let's do this one as well. I'm gonna go ahead and do the tape, I think, for this too, because I kind of like how it looks. I like how it's nice and flat too. Like it's not like got any bumpiness to it. So these would be good pieces of ephemera for somewhere where you didn't need to add like a ton of bulk, you know, because some areas you just can't fit thick things into pockets, because it really does depend on what kind of pocket you have, you know, if it has a gusset, if it's just like one of those flat pockets. So like these are more meant to be looked at, and the Scrappy books are more meant to be used, I think. Although you could use this for whatever you like. You could also put pictures on these. It doesn't have to be like swatches. You could combine paper and fabric on the same one, which would be a nice little texture option, or lace and like regular fabric, you know, so that you'd have a bunch of different options, you know, to kind of like make a lot of different ephemera for your journal without like overwhelming yourself, you know, with projects. So, okay, so that is those are my swatch books for right now. And then let's go on to our next one. This one is our pocket card. This is one of I love a crisscross pocket, I have to say. Okay, so for this one, you have all these different pockets, and you have this base right here. Okay, so this is your base. Okay, this is what it looks like in a kit. This is what I printed on the back. So again, if you want to change it up, you could print something different on the back and use it that way. You could also do the same thing with your pockets. If you want to put, like, see, this is a really cool text pocket. You know, I could use that instead if I wanted to, you know. So you have some options in how you want to use your pockets. You could also do it so that you only put like, let's say you only want to put like this pocket like this on this side, and then do the same thing on this side, so it would be double-sided. So, you know, bunches of different options, bunches and bunches. So I'm just going to put it together the way that I had envisioned it in my mind, and then you guys can just go to town on it. Yeah, Okay, so I'm just going to put glue along all 4 edges here. Like, this is the kind of pocket I was talking about. You can't really overstuff these guys because they don't have the little side flaps to kind of allow expansion. So this goes right on there. And then this one's just going to go crisscross right on top of it. It does not matter which one you put down first. You could do it in whichever orientation or arrangement that you would like. Okay. I'm just going to line this guy up. And there he is, right on there. Okay, and then what we're going to do is put these 2 on. Like this. And then we have a nice neutral situation here as far as pockets go. I know my desk is getting progressively messier. I'm sorry. I'm not super great at keeping a clean desk. I just feel like if you have stuff on your desk, you know, it's inspiring. So, you know, whatever I have on my desk, whatever I have within reach is definitely going to get used. This one goes here. And this one goes here. Hopefully we're moving along here. I know we're doing a lot of projects, so this could be, you know, a longer video, but you could always come back to it too whenever you're ready to do whichever project. Okay, see, now that's pretty simple, right? Boom, that's done. Okay, everything's glued on there, and then you can just pick and choose, you know, which pieces of ephemera you want to put in there. I'm going to try not to stress this thing out too much, but, you know, you can pick and choose whatever you want to put in there. There's a bunch of different stuff, and kind of just arrange it however you like. I don't want to mess up my... It's probably too much of an outlier for this. This is a cute little note paper. There's also this little daisy. Right there. I do like this guy because it's like a good contrasty piece that isn't too overwhelming. It's bright, but not too overwhelming. And then there's a piece here too, in case you want to use this as like a belly band or something like that to hold it in, you know, because this could slide easily under a belly band, especially if you only put the pockets on one side. That would be a great project for something like that as well. So. Right, so that's this one. That was quick, right? There wasn't a whole lot of room for me to totally turn this into a major project, so that's probably a good thing. All right, let me just move these guys off to the side. All right, I'm going to put that up there. Okay, and then let's go to our next one, which is going to be a pocket folder. This one's got a little bit more of a like decorating piece on the front, and then it has 4 pockets to go on the inside. Okay, so these pockets go in here, and like I said before, feel free to flip these guys over, print something else on the back, use these as templates. You know, these pockets are pretty easy to make because all you needed is a rectangle, and then you just can notch this out. So with a like a 1-inch punch, 2-inch punch, whichever you have. So this will be pretty easy to duplicate as well with just whatever you have in the craft room. All right, so let's glue these guys on here, and then once I have these glued on, we'll go ahead and do the front while these pockets dry. This guy's going to end up on the bottom, I think. And then this one here will end up on the top. There we go. Right, now I'm just going to do the same thing on this side. Alright, and then we're going to do this one here. Just line that guy up. Okay, now I just want to double check and make sure I don't have any glue or anything on there, so I don't accidentally glue my whole folio together. Okay, so now here's my front, and you could use, I think this is a pretty like non-directional pattern on here. It's just a floral. So here's my front, and what I'm going to do is kind of layer this ephemera on the front of it. Now, like I said before, you can do whatever you want here. There's no rules, so you could layer it however you want. You could use it as tuck spots. You don't have to glue it down. I thought it would be nice to have a collage on the front of this. That was kind of my thinking with this. So you could definitely put things however you want, and you could collage on the front and the back if you wanted. You could use this as a belly band if you wanted. So there's like a lot of just, you know, flexible options, hopefully, that will, you know, kind of give your imagination some fuel to kind of take a look at this and see what kind of formulates in your brain. Okay, just double checking. The most important thing is that your pockets and your ephemera go in the same way. If anything else, don't worry about it. Oh, wait, I think I want to put this one down first. What do you guys think? Yeah, let's go ahead and put this one down first. I am using the glue stick here because I like how I get a nice even coverage on here without too much, you know, dampness. I do prefer like the white glue for the pockets and stuff like that, because I definitely want that reliable adhesion there. Because once that stuff's down, there's not coming back up. I've had no problems with this glue though, with things coming back up. So I just like to have, like, you know, edge to edge coverage on that. All right, now I have to decide what else, if anything, that I want on here. I feel as if I do want this butterfly. I'm just not sure if I want to put anything. I don't think I want that else on there behind it. I think I like the lighter green ticket here better, and it doesn't need to be very long, so I'm just going to snip it right here. Yeah, and let's go ahead and do that. And I'm just going to go ahead and put this on here. And then that leaves me some leftover ticket to put inside as well. And now I have my front here decorated in a nice little collage that was pretty simple to make. And then I can go in here now and I can put in, if I want to put, these could go on the front of the pockets or go on the inside of the pockets. And you can put your taller ephemera in the bottom pockets and your shorter ephemera would go in the top pockets. So, there we go. And we can put this in here. She might, I'm not sure if she's going to fit in here, but we're going to see. Oh, she will. A little note paper here. Get that in there. It might be, this is going to be a little tight, but I think I can do it. If not, I'll just trim the edges of it. The other thing that can kind of help you get things in is if you want to round the corners. I think I might move this one over because I kind of like the idea of the postcard sticking out right there. I'll put that behind her. And then I have a little check over here. Or wait, this might be a receipt, sorry. This might be good for in here so they have a little color. That's going to stick out a little bit, but I think that's okay. And we can put her. In there. Right, and now we have like a little folder. And now this is something super easy to duplicate with whatever you're using. So, you know, definitely, you know, think of this not only as ephemera, like that's already pre-made, but also inspiration for ephemera that you can make as well. All right, so there's that guy. Let's see what we have on the next one. Ooh, the zigzag folder, which I'm very excited about. Okay. So this one is this number 7. Wow. Okay. So now I have a bunch of random ephemera here for this. And I also, but the base pieces are going to be these pockets. I have a proliferation of, sorry, a proliferation of ephemera and a proliferation of Post-it note labels. Okay. Okay, let's see here. I'm just taking all the ephemera out of this pile. I think I got all that. Okay. All right, so here's your 2 zigzag folders. And this is very, very simple. Now, these can either be glued down right here, and then you have like a little, you know, almost like a pocket tag situation that you could tuck things in, or you can just leave them open like this, and, you know, you can put pockets on the inside, which is what we're going to do here. The reason there are 2 is so that if you want to do this, then you can have you have to glue these together. You can have like a folio that does this, okay? I know it's the same on both sides. So you could, because these have to be glued together, you know, like this, or like this, up to you. You could cut this as well so that there is another pocket right there. So here's what I'm going to do here is I am going to attach these so they are one big folio. Before I do that, I'll do one as not a big folio, if that makes sense. Okay, so we basically have a bunch of pockets here, and you can kind of mix and match the pockets however you like. There's kind of a red set and there's kind of a beige set here. Okay, and you can put the pockets on whichever side you want. And you can put them in whatever direction you want. So I have pockets on here. Let's see, let's put this guy here. And then one for on here on the front. So that it will look like, kind of like it's continuing the zigzag on the front, if that makes sense. Okay, so let's go ahead and put these pockets on for this one. All right. And then we're going to open this up here, and we are going to put our second pocket on here. If you want to put the pocket going this way for whatever reason, you could just flip it over and just put it on like that. I'm going to have them all going the opposite way of this, if that makes sense. Okay, that goes there. And then we'll put the last one on here. Okay, so if you were just going to make one of these, this would potentially be how it looked. So if you just want to do one quick one, because this would definitely be a nice thing to stick in a pocket in your journal. That's not just a plain old tag, right? Because now that you have all these extra pockets, you can start sticking, you know, oops, that's not actually the pocket. You can start, you know, putting your ephemera in however you want. Okay, that pocket is not ready to have ephemera yet. You could additionally, if you wanted to, put one of the pockets on the back here as well, or you could, do a lot of different things. I'll just keep it at that so I don't get things too complicated or too confusing. But you have a lot of options in terms of like what you want to do and where you want to put things. Okay, so this is if I wanted to make, one little folio here, okay? Let's see here. Do I have any other little bits and bobs here I can stick in here? Oh, I do have the little butterfly. So yeah, so we could, okay, so before I get you into the weeds with decorating this, let's take a look at this guy here. Now, this one would go onto here. Okay, and then you would have this one unfolding like that. Okay, so I think what we will do is, let's go ahead and cut this one so that when I glue it down on here, it'll have another pocket like right here. You can also cut it straight across if you wanted, but I feel like this should do it. Okay, so now you've got another, so this is how they're gonna attach by this pocket. Whenever you want to extend anything, attaching whatever it is you want to extend with a pocket is the way to go. It will solve more problems for you than anything in your journal. Okay, so we're going to put this in here, just like this. Okay, so now I have this one attached to this one by a pocket, okay? And you can't even tell, like, that I did that, right? It's just like this now. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we are going to go ahead and stick pockets on here, okay? Because of, okay, so let's stick these guys on here. You're going to have to decide which side you want them on unless you want to print off more pockets, if that makes, that makes sense there. This one could go this way, or we could flip it over and have it go that way, but I don't want the back to match. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this one on here. Okay, so you could also go here with this pocket if you wanted, or you could go on the back here. So it's kind of like, it's basically up to you, like where you want to put your pockets, because you're going to have two sides. So you could also, you know what we could do? we could do that because I made the extra, you know, I made this extra pocket here, so this one should go here actually. Since I made a pocket here, we don't necessarily need another one down here. So what we could do is put that one on this side. I hope I'm not confusing you guys by turning this into like a bigger folio, but basically if you're only going to do one, just follow the instructions, you know, for the first one that we did. And then if you want to do two, you can just kind of cut this off right there and then glue the pockets on whichever sides. Let me make sure that's, you want to go right up to the edge there without going over it. And then let's see. Yeah, I think I'll put this one here. And then I'll have a pocket behind here. You won't really be able to see it a whole lot, but that'll generally be like the back of my folio. So I really want a pocket right there. Okay. All right, let me glue that guy on. And then if you want to, you could add other pockets on here in wherever you want it, you need them. But this is kind of good because when these meet together, these two pockets are the same size, and that one was crooked, and they kind of like mirror each other, you know what I mean? Okay, so then all that's left now is to just decide what ephemera you want to put. Oops, can I go that way? Yeah. And where? I feel like this or this one. I would like to have something on that pocket because these kind of blend together, so it'd be nice to have, you know, just a little something that differentiates it. I need to make sure this is not gluing down very well because I pulled it up. Okay, let's pick out some other spots to put stuff in. That one might be too tight for there. Like this would be cute if we like put these two together. Like when you have a plainer piece, you can kind of layer it onto the to the bigger piece. Oh, I was like, where did I put my stapler? But there it is. There you go. And let's see, what else do we want to put in there? Still feels a little bit damp. It'd be really nice if this was here, because then you could see a little bit of pink peeking out of the top there. This might be slightly wide for this pocket, which I'll just trim it. Sometimes I'll like trying to get it to go in without trimming it when you could just trim it. Because this has a pretty good margin on it. You see how that looks? Oh, you can't see the pink. What I am going to do, though, is get a paper clip and clip this where I want it, which is right here. I could add a pocket, but I think I'm just going to add a paper clip because I think that the paper clip kind of goes with the whole aesthetic of the whole situation with the ledger paper and the little book here. And, you know, I think that like kind of works really well together. Okay, so this pocket needs a little something something. Oh, I put a lot of my ephemera in there already. I have this little medallion here. This can go in here. Ooh, what do I have over here still? Ooh, I have this postcard. Okay, like that. And then I also have this. That might be too. I think that's too blue. I would like to put that on there. As well. I'm just gonna move these guys. Okay. So these are our finished ones here. Okay, put this one in here. And maybe this one in here. Like if I made this a pocket, let's do that. Oh, I didn't realize it, but I just glued that in like right there on the pocket. So that's perfect. All right, so I have these extra pieces over here, which is nice. So now I have my little zigzag folio, and I have lots of different stuff in it, and I still have options for storage for more stuff if I wanted to. And you can fold this up however you like as well, but it's like kind of symmetrical on either side now. So there's our zigzag folio. Okay, so let's head on to the next one. Is this our last but not least here? Oh, I forgot to get out my extra ephemera. Oops. I could probably put that in the zigzag folio too. Okay, this is our album, and this is number 8. Okay. So this one is not going to be tough at all, especially if you have made any of my other books recently. So I thought this would be fun as a like a album that was also like a hinge bound one. But what I'm going to do here for this one here is glue all of these together right here. So I didn't need to print on the back, but because I printed my whole kit at once, and so it was just easier to print everything instead of having to like pull some of them out and not print on the back. So basically what I'm going to do here is for this album is I'm just going to glue everything together back to back. And then once I have that, I'll have my like book block basically. And then we can just go ahead and glue that right into our cover right here. So let's put these two together. The only real situation here is trying to make sure you got everything going the right way. Just trying to line those guys up as best as I can. I'm going to move my scissors here. I do not believe I did a great job here. Okay, let's see if I have some forgiveness here. If things don't line up absolutely perfectly, I just trim it afterwards, just because sometimes, you know, you're dealing with paper and folding, and I know I've said this probably 100 times before. It may not always work out exactly perfect. Okay, so what I'm going to do is make sure that my patterns are all on the inside so that when these glue together, I'm not gluing any of what I want to see away. You could turn these into pockets if you want. I was trying not to overcomplicate things, so I'm not going to do pockets. I'm just going to do a little album. And I did put frames in here, and what I thought, you know, instead of like cutting these holes out, I would just cut it into an oval and just put it right on top. I wouldn't mess around with that unless you really, really wanted to. And if you want to do it that way, I would definitely watch the videos on the Wraithwood album that we did as a freebie last month, because that is exactly what we did. We did cut out all the frames for that one, and then we just slid the pictures in. So if you're looking to do that, this is also a good way to do that, because you have you have the space between the two pages that you're gluing together. Like if you cut this out, you could just glue it around the edges here and then just slip the photo in the top there. All right, and I got my last one here. And you can add as many as you want. It'll expand to, you know, I would definitely, you know, check the width here and make sure your block fits in there. But it should fit. This will fit in, I checked for this project. But you could definitely get more than these pages in there. Because there'll probably be a little extra room. Oh yeah, I could totally get more in there. But I just, you know, I wanted to just give you guys like a good example. And then what we're going to do here is we are going to glue our spine into just glue our spine right into here. I was going to get some Fabri-Tac for that, and because I think that'll be a good one for that. I was going to look and see though if I had any scraps around here that I could just fit. Might do this. Okay, so I just went ahead and made another page out of the washi strip page for mine, so that because I think I could add probably at least 2 or 3 more pages in here, so that, but I think it fits pretty well right now. But I mean, I think you could get 2 or 3 more pages than what I'm doing right now into this book if you wanted to. You don't have to, but if you wanted to. I just thought it'd be fun to do an extra page. Actually, I could have done another one, but let's just do this for right now. And then I was going to grab my Fabri-Tac and we will glue the spine in. I just want to get this, I got this a little bit off on the spine situation here. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to grab my Fabri-Tac and we'll glue the spine in. Okay, so let's go ahead and glue our spine in here. I am going to put the glue here on the spine here where all the pages are, and I want to just kind of get that in there as best I can. And you could do this with any glue. This glue works pretty well for videos. I have to hold it for a second, but not quite as long as I would have to hold it if I was doing like white glue. And also, make sure I get this the right way, because you know I love to glue things on upside down. Okay. Oh, hot glue would work too. That's what I was going to say. Sorry. I like to derail myself. Here. just get this straight. I just gotta get it over a little bit. So it's more, I don't quite have it in the middle. There we go. I think that's better. Okay, I am just gonna hold this for a second, and then when it's dry, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm done. I think I'm dry here. So I was going to do one other thing here. What I like to do to give this a little bit of more of a finished look is put some washi tape here. This is actually fabric tape, but you could use any tape you want. I like to have that look right there. Not everybody may be into it, so you could just leave it, you know, plain like this, and it will be fine. This is not a structural addition that I'm making here. This is just what I like. You know what I mean? So I was just going to suggest it, and if you guys are into it, you can do it too. So you just put the tape on there, just like that. Just make sure that bends. And then I'm just going to trim off the excess here. I think I have the wrong scissors for this job. I think you need to get the right scissors for the right job here. Okay, so there we go. I got this all set, and I got my tape in, and I got my pages in, and now we have a little album, right? So I okay, so for this, I made a few things here, just in case you wanted to embellish your cover in a special or unique way. I took and I created these like layered elements from the little cover piece that you could then put a little bit of foam tape, or even like a thin piece of cardboard or whatever behind them if you wanted to elevate these up. And then this also allows you to customize the label if you want to, and then have that also be like, it would be 3D, so it's just an option I thought might be fun for this. And the other thing that I thought might be fun for this would be to have pockets just on the inside here. So I have these little dragonfly pockets that I thought I would just add in here as well. And then, as usual, there's just, oops, wrong side, a little bit of ephemera, in case you want to add ephemera to it, or you want to decorate. Just, you know, a little embellishment action there. Put that on there. Let's flip over to the back here, and then we'll put this on here. And then you can just, there's other pockets too, in case you want a pocket in other places on here. And also I thought it'd be fun to have little tabs for the edges if you wanted to have like a little tab action on these for whatever you wanted to put in here. But all in all, I think it's pretty cute just hanging out here like this. And all it needs is a couple photos and it will look adorable. Okay, so that is our number 8 project. So I'm going to clean up here really quick, and then we'll just do a recap, and then we will be done. Okay, not bad for what? I don't know, maybe this was an hour and a half, maybe it was 2 hours. We'll see what happens. I have no idea what time it is because my phone is recording this. So, but just a quick recap of what we did is we made our little like lace ephemera stacks. We made our postal bundle here. We have our scrappy notebooks. We have our fabric swatches here. And we have our pocket card. And we have our pocket folder. We have our Zigzag folio here. And we have our cute little album. So not too bad, right? I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope that this is a fun project for you guys to do, or a lot of fun projects for you to do. Projects that can fill up many days or one whole day, doing all the cutting and the gluing and the decorating and all of that. So I hope you have a lot of fun with this. And I will see you guys very soon in my next video. If you could like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for joining me.